How the hell are you? Top of the Tuesday to you. I may be a day tardy, but it doesn't stop my enthusiasm for what was a very splendid week one of preseason action. Now, I will tell you this. I do have a bone to pick with a lot of teams around the National Football League, and we will get to that here in a second. But first and foremost, I had preseason overload, and I'm ready to put on my skates and go preseason slate skating. You coming with me? Come on then. Let's go. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 190th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. First, in the comment section, Juan Gotti Talking Sports. Shout out to my man, Juan Gotti Talking Sports, for being the first in the comment section. What up, Juan Gotti? We talking sports. We talking football, baby. And we talking NFL preseason action. We're going to do that a little bit later on in the show. However, as we customarily do, we're going to start this show off with a Gem Droppin Session. I'm not going to talk your head off today because I know you got things to do, and I'm coming at you a little earlier and on a day you're not used to me, so I'm not going to come in here with a bunch of chicanery or tomfoolery. I'm getting straight to the shits immediately. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T-double-E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, you know how I always tell you guys, everyone can't have nice things. And for a while there, as Washington fans, we weren't allowed to have nice things. And I would say, why is it that we can't have nice things? And I would say that very often. Everyone's not allowed to have nice things. Same can be said for specific situations and what people are allowed to do and the amount of power that they're given. There's a reason that there's checks and balances, and there's reasons why you play football and we run the shit in the front office with personnel and contracts and things of that nature. Case in point, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. This is why you don't allow players to pick the other players on the roster. This is exactly why you have to draw a line. Now, I'm not saying that if you're a veteran and you're the best player on your team, quarterback-wise, you're the leader of the franchise, and you've done this for a long time and you've won at a high level, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a little bit of input, okay? I'm not telling the Seahawks to totally turn a deaf ear to Russell Wilson when he's talking about things that he wants done. But you also have to take into consideration that Russell Wilson is a player, he's emotional, and he doesn't know all of the specifics of what's going on in the front office. Case in point, he wants a new deal for his left tackle, Dwayne Brown. Dwayne Brown's 36. The Seahawks are like, we ain't giving Dwayne Brown a 3-year extension, which is what he wants. Sorry, not sorry, okay? Find another bone to pick with us, Russ, but we're not doing that. Plus, we got to get this Jamal Adams situation under control. This is a fire that's starting to rage a bit. We need to put this out before it spreads. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb and David Bakhtiari, but this all started with Aaron Rodgers, decided to take to socials to make a campaign to bring back Clay Matthews. Oh my God. See, this is what happens when you let somebody that's not used to having power have power. They go crazy. Aaron Rodgers, first thing he wanted to do, all the things Aaron Rodgers could have bullied the Packers into doing when he got back into the saddle, okay? When they said, Aaron will do anything you say. What do you want us to do? Just come back to us. Go get Randall Cobb. Of all the things he could have done, he wants to go get his old buddy from back in 2005 and bring him on board. Okay, that's fine. Look, it didn't cost you a lot. It was a reasonable request. So you say, okay, we can do that. It's not like he asked them to find a way to get Megatron out of retirement, or it's not like he said, hey, go trade for XYC, receiver. Okay. Nah, he didn't do all of that. He just said, go get me Randall Cobb. That's my boy. I want to be comfortable. Want to know I got a guy that can get open and win other than Devontae Adams. Go get my boy Randall Cobb. He's still got football left in him. Okay, cool. We can do that. Then Aaron's like, this is pretty nice. They're actually doing what I tell them to do. I'm over here playing Puppet Master. So let's just have a 2008, 2009 reunion in Green Bay. Why don't we? Let's bring back James Jones. Let's bring back Clay Matthews. Let's bring back the whole gang. Hell, I know Greg Jennings doesn't even like Aaron Rodgers. Bring him back too. Why the hell not? Won a Super Bowl together, right? So Aaron's in his bag right now. So he decides, hey, Randall, you know what would make this really fun, this upcoming season really fun? Even if this is the last one, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You know what would make this really fun? If we got Clay back here and he started doing all of this football and wrestling shit and I started doing championship belt poses, that'd be really fun. And Randall's like, yeah, that would be fun. Let's try and get the organization and bring back Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews? Did he even play football last year? I'm not sure. At one point, I remember he was on life support in terms of his career with the Rams. That didn't work out. And I don't think anybody else signed him after that. Don't think he played football last year. I could be wrong. And Clay Matthews could have had 6.5 sacks for some obscure team that we're not thinking about. But I'm pretty sure his last NFL action wasn't last year, but it was rather the year before that. And it was with the Rams, and it wasn't very good. I could be wrong again. Again, don't quote me on that. However, I said all of that to say this. Why in the hell would the Green Bay Packers want to bring back Clay Matthews? Okay. This is why you can't allow players to pick other players, because they're just going to want to bring their friends on board. Guys that they like. When Russell Wilson was advocating for guys, go get Josh Gordon. You know how many times he's been suspended since Russell Wilson wanted the Seahawks to get Josh Gordon the first time? And they actually did get Josh Gordon. And he's been suspended like 89 times since then. You can't listen to players on matters of personnel. This is why players need to play and let the GM pick the players and let there be a clear delineation there, okay? So there isn't any confusion here. We're not bringing all your buddies back on the team so you guys can have a good time and go out for drinks after practice. Okay, it's not 2010 anymore. Clay Matthews doesn't play at a high level, if at all, anymore. Okay, what are we doing here, guy? Anyway, I digress. It's amazing to me listening to that story and reading some of the things that came out. I'm like, see, this is exactly why it's a slippery slope. You go out and get one guy, and now Aaron's like, this feels nice. I think I want to bring back my other friend. I've got 2 more guys that I really would like to bring back. You got space for them? And their GM, who already doesn't get along with Aaron Rodgers, Brian Gutekunst, is like, no, we have no reason to bring back Clay Matthews, and we have no plans to do so in the near future. Translation, hey, y'all don't pay Aaron ass no mind, okay? Aaron over here talking and popping shit. He's getting other people on board. They could have 87,000 hashtags on how to bring Clay Matthews back. His ass ain't gonna be in a Green Bay Packers uniform if he playing football. That's for damn sure. I don't blame him. I'm not saying that Brian Gutekunst and some of the other guys in upper management in Green Bay have handled this situation the best, but you got to draw a line somewhere, right? Come on, guys. Come on. What are you doing? Come on. Clay Matthews? Stop it. Anyway, those State Farm commercials were great, though. But let's put a stop to this. Anyway, I digress. So, I got a super chat here. I'm going to take this. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and then we're going to spend the bulk of the podcast talking preseason ball because I watched a ton of it. And I'm going to give you one tidbit, at least one tidbit from each and every single team and every single game. So there should be 2 tidbits per game, one for each team. We'll do that on the other side of this break. But I got a super chat, so I want to take that first. This is from my guy, Silver V. Thank you for the super chat, Silver Villains, who writes, did you see that taunting call on the Colts running back? Oh my God, the NFL mucks up the game for no reason. Just like the year we didn't know if a catch was a catch or not in my Louie T voice. Why? 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 It's crazy that you bring it up. That's actually a segment that we're going to do late in the show. You know what it is. Garbage time. I was saving that for garbage time. So I don't want to talk about it too much right now, but I agree with you. But I'm going to talk to you about some things that I saw over the weekend and kind of clarify some things for you as far as that taunting penalty goes. Look, anytime something is subjective, you're going to have these kinds of issues. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But you're right on par with where we're going on this show because literally I have that in my notes and we're going to talk about it during garbage time. So you all over it, Silver V. You got it, man. You got it. Shit, you should be hosting the show. You're on top of it. Anyway, you're dialed into the 190th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I'm going to take a word from one of our sponsors, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back on the other side of that break, and we're going to jump into Slate Skatin. So put your skates on. You know I'm a rollerblader. I keep mine in one nice fine line. But if you got to keep yours in 2 little columns, I'm not going to knock the hustle. Just put your skates on, tie them up all the way at the top. I don't want to hear about no sore ankles tomorrow because we coming back and we doing the podcast again tomorrow. So tie them up tight. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Have a good one. I want to take this time to thank Manscaped for sponsoring the Louie T Network podcast. Attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston, do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you've got 0 gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code LouieT. Ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than a Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped that is just taken off not only in the US, but Canada, the UK, and across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their 4.0 lawnmower trimmer, weed whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, crop preserver ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 lawnmower trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on your journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even your anus. You see what we did there? This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on and off switch which can engage a travel lock and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Pause. Don't forget to use Crop Preserver ball deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little planets on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. Abort hairy balls and Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code LouieT at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code LouieT at manscaped.com. For a clean Trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you. I just read a comment from the unknown ism in the comment section. And he writes, because the boys are back in town in Green Bay. I love it. Good one. The unknown ism. Good one. I love it. I love it. Want more of it. So thank you for coming back to me. All right. I know that's a long ass break. I really appreciate you sticking it out, coming back and kicking it with the kid and talking some NFL football. If you're out there listening to this on one of those podcast platforms, whether it's, I don't even know what the hell it's called. Is it Google Music Play anymore? Probably Google Podcasts or some shit they changed it to. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, wherever you're getting this, okay? Stitcher. Make sure that you rate and review this podcast favorably, I might add, okay? If you don't have anything nice to say, stick that shit in your back pocket and hold on to it, okay? If you got 5 stars for me, though, go ahead and bless the kid. I really would appreciate it, all right? So, with that said, y'all got your skates on. I already told y'all I was ready to get out of the blocks and hit it going, all right? Now, they paved this, it's nothing like skating on some freshly paved concrete. Whew, it's nothing like it. And this is a brand new season. They just laid out this asphalt. They steamed over it a couple of times. It's nice and dry. It's nice, dark, and black. And it's smooth. So let's go skating, guys. Preseason week number 1. Let's go. All right. Let's start in Atlanta. Titans at Falcons. 23-3. Titans win the game. I think what the preseason is for me is it's a chance to really find out what kind of depth you have on the roster. Above all else, obviously you want to get the veterans up to speed, get them back into football, game playing shape, all of that good jazz. You'd like to see good execution. You're not going to be doing anything too snazzy out there, but you want to see guys execute. And you want to see your young players show you why they belong. And that's how you find out what kind of depth. Because it's one thing to see it in practice. Practice is practice. It's another thing to see it live bullets flying. Another team is trying to take your head off. That's not on your team. Guys that are not your friends. Trying to knock your block off. Can you do it now? When it actually matters. I say all of that because I don't like the Atlanta Falcons skill positions outside of the guys that we already know. Obviously, they've got a brand new tight end in Kyle Pitts, who we think is going to be phenomenal. Phenomenal. Okay? And they also have a receiver that we think is one of the better number 2s. Now he's going to be a number 1 in Calvin Ridley. Those two are exceptional. We think Kyle Pitts is going to be exceptional. I'm going to go ahead out on a limb. I don't think I'm alone in saying that he's exceptional too. I don't like the guys that they have after that, though. They got Zio. Zio is fine. Zio is fine. The rest of those dudes, though, I saw Tajay Sharp catching a lot of balls, or at least having a lot of balls targeted to him. If those boys don't blow up, those 3 receivers, let's call Kyle Pitts a receiver too. But Pitts, Zio, and Calvin Ridley don't do it all for them, they could be in some serious trouble in Atlanta. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Darrington Evans looked good for the Tennessee Titans. That was a guy I was really high on last year in the draft out of Appalachian State. And coming out of App State, I thought he was going to come in and really be a change of pace for Derrick Henry. And it really turned out to be Jeremy McNichols that was the other guy. And McNichols is fine. He runs hard. He's got a little wiggle to him. But Darrington Evans is the guy they drafted to be the other back, the one that takes the leftover carries from Derrick Henry. And he looks like he's poised and ready to do that. So those were my takeaways from the 23-3 win for the Titans over the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, they scored 3 points for a reason. It's not a lot there. That cupboard is bare with no Matt Ryan and no Julio. Now he's in Tennessee. And a lot was made of him returning to Atlanta. He didn't play in the game, right? Anyway. But, no Calvin Ridley playing in this game. No Pitts in this game. There's nothing there, man. That's why they only scored 3 points. It's nothing there. Let's move on. Buffalo at Detroit. 16-15. Bills win this game. And we know it's not about the score a lot of times. It's can you get out of this game healthy? And does your young players show you what they've been showing you in practice? Maybe you get a surprise or two. A guy that really wasn't performing all that well in practice comes out and balls, or a guy that's been the talk of camp shows you why he's been the talk of camp. Doesn't go quiet and go ghost on you when the game becomes real and there's a real opponent, but he continues to build all of the momentum that he's been building in camp. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks the real deal in Detroit. And I do not like their roster. Okay, it's not as bad as everyone thinks, but it's not a good roster. They're gonna struggle this year, or the Detroit Lions. But Amon-Ra St. Brown looks the part. And another guy that I would like to see do something this year is Tyrell Johnson. All right, if Tyrell, what is it? It's not Johnson, is it? What is it? Tyrell Williams. Okay, I'm about to say that doesn't sound right. Tyrell Williams, who the Raiders went out in free agency and got to be their number 2. Antonio Brown decided to go A.B. off the hizzle and didn't play for the Raiders. So then he had to pose as a number 1. That's not what they signed him to be. Shit went sideways. He ends up getting hurt. They decide to move on. Now he's getting another opportunity in Detroit. I think this is a good place for him because there are no expectations in Detroit. Everyone thinks they're going to stink, and they are going to stink. So there are no expectations. So he can just go out and do kind of what he did with the Chargers when he put himself on the map, which is, hey, just go out and play ball, no expectations, whatever happens, happens. I think this will be a good spot for him in Detroit. But Amon-Ra St. Brown looks legit. Better than his brother, Equanimous. Amon-Ra looks like he'll be a fixture in Detroit for the coming years. As far as the Bills are concerned, one of my biggest pet peeves of this preseason week number 1, and everyone's got different philosophies, so I don't really want to fly off the handle with this one, but what really irked my damn nerves was so many teams deciding to pass on week 1 of the preseason like there's 4 weeks of it still. There were so many teams that just elected, I'm not playing my guys. And I'm like, you do know that you stink, right? You do know that your quarterback. So here are my standards. If you want to rest your players, here are the prerequisites to getting rest in any of these preseason games. And it's like, again, everyone's got their own philosophies. Here's mine. Okay. Number 1, you have to be a veteran on at least your second contract. You cannot be a rookie and sitting out a preseason game. Okay. Even if I think you're Kyle Pitts and you're going to be a stud and I can't win without you, I still want you out there for a possession. Okay. If you're on a rookie deal, and maybe I'll make an exception if you're on like year 3 or 4 of that rookie deal, but we already know. Like if Justin Jefferson tears it up again this upcoming season, I don't need to see him in his 3rd year in the first preseason game when Kirk Cousins or whomever is at quarterback isn't playing. That's cool. I can make an exception for him. But generally speaking, most guys don't come in the league, tear it up their rookie season, and then tear it up again in their sophomore season. If that's the case, I need to see your ass out there. Sorry. If you're still on your rookie contract, I need to see you on the field. That's number 1. Number 2, if you're a veteran, you pass the second contract test, okay? Then you better be a all-pro or Pro Bowl caliber player, okay? If you're just a guy and you just happen to be on your second contract, why the hell are you sitting down? Get your ass off the bench and get in the damn game. I thought too many coaches were passive with their players. I'm gonna snap on a couple teams when we get there, but I thought the Bills were one of those teams where I'm like, okay, Josh Allen, totally get it. Stephon Diggs, totally get it. A lot of those guys don't need to see him. I understand. Mitchell Trubisky is your backup quarterback. Why is he only playing 2 possessions? He's Mitchell effing Trubisky. He should be playing a whole half of football. If Josh Allen goes down, God forbid anything happened to him, this is the guy that's coming in for him. Why is he playing 2 series like he's some kind of stud? He's Mitchell effing Trubisky. He should be playing at least the first quarter plus. But again, everybody handles their situation the way they want to handle it. I needed to see more of Mitchell Trubisky. That wasn't enough. You know, on Friday when Smokey's mom asked him to go to the store and she gives him some money and she tells him what she wants and he goes, wait a minute. That ain't enough. She said, well, make it enough. I felt like that's what the Bills did to me with Mitchell Trubisky. I said, what y'all doing? That ain't enough. They said, well, it's preseason week 1. Make it enough. Okay, fine, whatever. I don't think it was enough. Let's move on to Dallas at Arizona. 19-16, the Cardinals get the victory. Again, that's really of no consequence. So, I watched this game. I'm going to start with Dallas here. And Dorrance Armstrong, Keanu Neal, and Cedric Wilson all popped for me in that game. So on the defensive side, Dorrance Armstrong, who was a guy that a lot of people downed coming out of Kansas as an edge rusher because he just didn't have the juice off the edge and his testing numbers were really poor. He's starting to flash a bit. Now again, we'll see if this just was a simple case of the Arizona Cardinals offensive line and some backups being in there or whatever the case may be, but it's good to see guys. I don't really care. You know, you always hear, well, he did it against the 2s and the 3s. Well, guess what? That's who the hell was in the game. What do you want him to stink against the 2s and the 3s? All he can do is bust whoever's ass is in front of him. That's all I ask anybody to do in the preseason. I don't care if it's against the 6s or the 9s or the 12s. If they're in the game and you're in the game, bust their ass. That's what he did. So, you know, I was listening to some people, well, I can't wait to hear Broncos fans laud and praise Drew Lock and talk about how good he is. He did it against the Vikings 2s and 3s. Well, who the hell fault is that? You want him to go out there and wet the bed against their 2s and 3s? Or you want him to go kick their ass, shred them for a couple of touchdowns and get the hell out of the game? I don't know. Which one do you want? I know which one I want. Anyway, I digress. I thought Keanu Neal was exceptional. And I really felt like he was going to be a real good addition to that Cowboys defense, especially when I found out he was willing to play linebacker. So he forced a fumble in the game, had a couple of wicked hits. That's what he brings to the table. I just thought he was flying around the football field. That's what Keanu Neal does, though. So I figured he would do this, especially playing for a guy that he's very comfortable with, and Dan Quinn. I think he's going to be a great addition to that Cowboys defense. I already told you guys, this Cowboys defense is not going to be as bad as it was last year. Everybody, oh, the Cowboys defense stinks. Yeah, it probably will not be great. It will not be as bad as it was last year. And if their offense is anywhere near as good as it was last year when Dak was playing, if Dak gets healthy and plays, which we assume he will, then they're gonna have a chance to win double-digit games. So anyway, Cedric Wilson. They need somebody else to step up at receiver because they're not going to re-sign. What is his name? Michael Gallup. They're not going to re-sign Michael Gallup after the season is over. Yeah, more likely than not, they're going to have to make a choice between Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. I think they're going to choose Cooper. But we'll see. If Cooper can't stay healthy, they may move on from him and keep Michael Gallup. But either way, they need somebody else to step up just in case Amari Cooper decides to pull one of these disappearing acts, which we know is very common with him throughout the course of a season. They need another receiver to step up. That guy needs to be Cedric Wilson. You want to put a 1 on now that they're allowing these different positions to wear single-digit numbers? You want to put on 1? You better show out. You better show out. You can't just put on 1 and then want to be a bum. Well, he's showing out right now. So I like what I'm seeing out of Cedric Wilson. And he's flashed in the past before. See the Seattle Seahawks game last year. He's flashed before. He needs to be more consistent. He looks like he's taking steps towards doing that. The Arizona Cardinals, I thought they had a couple of rookies really shine. One on both sides of the football, each side of the ball. Rondale Moore looks the part, and they drafted him to be this dynamic gadget player that they get the ball in his hands in various situations, and they did exactly that in his first NFL game versus the Cowboys. We saw trickeration reverse where they faked the pass and tossed it to him coming across the formation. We saw wide receiver screens. We saw jet sweep. They got it to him in a multitude of ways, and they're like, yeah, it's the preseason, but we want to get you thinking a little bit. We want you to know when you play us, you got to deal with Rondale Moore. Well, they put everybody on notice with that one because he was touching it in all kinds of ways. And I think he scored a touchdown too, if I'm not mistaken. I think he caught a touchdown as well. He was problematic for sure. On the defensive side, Zaven Collins looks really comfortable. Really, really comfortable as a middle linebacker. And remember, the conversation after the draft was he wanted to put his hand in the dirt and be a defensive end. And the Cardinals had other plans. He's playing linebacker, and he looks really comfortable. See him shooting his gun, coming downhill, firing. He looks aggressive. He made a tackle for loss on like the second play of the game. He looks like he's fitting in nice and comfy, picking up a lot faster the defense than last year's first round pick, who is starting alongside him now, but was struggling last year. If you remember early in the season, Isaiah Simmons. Zaven Collins is ready to ball. Right out of the gate, right out of the packaging, and you expect that. That guy had time at Tulsa to develop, and so he's showing that right out of the gate. Miami at Chicago. So this was a big game, all right? This is a really big game because everybody wanted to see Justin Fields. All eyes on Fields. So I was like, well, shit, don't forget about Tua. Okay, everybody's giving up on him already. And when we start talking about 2020 cornerbacks, it's Justin Herbert this, it's Joe Burrow that. Everybody's shitting on Tua. Don't forget about him. 20-13, final score, Bears get the win. I want to start with the Dolphins. They had a couple of tidbits to mention. And the first one is Tua was playing really well. Like, everyone wanted to talk about, Justin Fields and what he was doing. Tua was balling until he threw that stupid ass pick. Everything was on the up and up. I'm like, God damn, Tua is stroking it out here. He be stroking. Yeah, that's what Tua be doing. He be stroking. He was stroking that thing. I said, oh man, Tua is comfortable. He's putting touch on it. He's putting zip on it when he needs to. And then he got all the way down in the red zone and he threw a pick to DeAndre Carson Houston. And I said, there goes that performance. I still like what I saw. Okay, if I'm a Dolphins fan, I am encouraged. I don't like the interception, but man, he was really sharp. He was really sharp. The other thing for the Dolphins, and I've told you guys this already, but it's always nice to have what you feel confirmed with your eyes. It's one thing to feel that way. It's another thing to see it and to be able to say, yeah, I was right. And I like to say I was right. Man, the Dolphins are fast at wide receiver. They are blazing fast. And they still don't have William Fuller, the fifth, out there yet. They still don't have arguably their fastest receiver. But Jalen Waddle returned a punt. Not for a touchdown, but it was a nice return. And I'm like, shit, he's fast. Then Jakeem Grant said, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. So he went back there and took a punt like 60 yards down the sidelines. He's fast. I said, man, must be nice. Must be nice to just throw whoever the hell you want back on punt returns. Don't matter. They 4-3 or 4-2 and some change, and they getting like 20 or 30 on it every time. Must be nice. And then there's Justin Fields. Okay, let's get to the elephant in the room. Justin Fields. Everyone was going goo goo gaga over his performance. Oh my God. You would have thought that Justin Fields was 12 or 13 for 240, 2 touches, and he scrambled for 60 and another score. That's what I sat down to watch. Because everybody was hitting me up, blowing up my timeline. I'm thinking, oh man, Washington fans coming at me all different directions on how we should have drafted this kid. And so I'm thinking, well, shit, Justin Fields must have lit it up. Oh, man. I can't wait to watch this. So I grabbed a bunch of cherries. I sat down in my chair and I started popping cherries in my mouth. And I'm like, all right, what you got for me, Justin? All right, Andy, get your ass out of the game. Come on, Justin, what you got? And then I got a 3 and out. And then I got a possession with a sack. And then I got an almost interception. I'm like, I thought he was balling out here. What is everybody talking about? Now, I will say, after a slow start, he did pick it up. He did get into a rhythm. He did do some good things. And if I'm not mistaken, I watched a bunch of games. I might have my games confused. I think he led them down the field on a 2-minute drive right before the half and got him a field goal as well. He did some really nice things. Okay? He used his legs. A lot of good things he did. I'm not going to sit here and shit on Justin Fields like it wasn't impressive, because he did some impressive things. But I was like, this wasn't how everybody made it out to be. It wasn't all this, flash and dash and everything that I was expecting. I saw a guy and I saw this with all the rookies. Not a single one of them was absolved of this outside of Mac Jones. And that's to be expected, because of all the quarterbacks, I think we said Mac Jones is the most pro-ready. All of these boys were taking sacks. They didn't like what they saw in college. Either your offensive line was going to dominate the guys in front of, so you had 87 years, or you could just tuck it and run. But in the NFL, it's not that simple. So they would hold on to it. They didn't like the first read. They didn't like the second read. Then they get sacked. Saw that a million times with these young boys. And Fields was included in that. Now, I thought he used his legs well. I love the throwback to the tight end across the field for the touchdown. Tight end essentially backpedals into the end zone. I thought Fields was really solid. But it wasn't what everybody was making it out to be. Oh, my God, Justin Fields had this amazing debut. He should have been picked off like twice. One for sure. So, I thought he was solid, man. I was impressed. But again, it's almost like when everybody was talking about the Washington Post article that was supposed to come out about Daniel Snyder, and we were talking about bribing referees, and we were talking about this prostitution ring and these drug-induced parties and Daniel and Epstein and all of these dudes. And then the article came out and he was like, I don't see none of this shit in here. Is that it? And the shit he did was grotesque. The things in the article, you were like, man, that's bullshit. But because you were expecting so much, you read the article and you're disappointed. And so the things in the article get minimized. I feel like that's what I'm doing right now. I'm minimizing what I saw because I got all of this feedback that built up this performance that made me feel like I'm walking into Justin Fields tearing these boys up like he playing against, I don't know, Purdue or some shit. Like he was playing against UTEP. And that's not what I got, but he played well. I just want to make sure I do say that he played well. But not like everybody was going off, like everybody was going off trying to make it out to be. That's all I'm saying. You know who did ball? Drew Lock did ball. That's who balled. You want to talk about somebody balling? Drew Lock balled. Okay? Denver at Minnesota, 33-6. The biggest ass whooping of the weekend. The biggest disparity in points. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos first. Lot to talk about with the Denver Broncos. Honestly, I could spend 10 minutes on them, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it nice and short. Javonte Williams, the rookie second-round running back out of North Carolina, was outstanding. He looks ready to go right out of the packaging. KJ Hamler, a guy that was really disappointing last year because he had an injury-marred rookie season, but we know the guy is talented. Well, he's showing what he's capable of, and if he stays healthy, he's going to be a big, big problem for opposing AFC West defenses. He was outstanding. He had about a 65, 70-yard bomb for a touchdown. Might have been 80 over the top. He was outstanding in the game. Had another catch or two as well. Drew Lock. What more can I say? He was spectacular. You know I'm a Drew Lock fan. I don't want to put too much sauce on it. You know, he's got to be consistent. I've seen this from him, though, so I'm not going to go overboard. It was a preseason game. The Vikings played next to nobody, and he did what he was supposed to do. But I need to see that consistently from him. And then Patrick Surtain II. A pick six in this game, a pass breakup down in the red zone, and then a pick six to boot. He was phenomenal in his first NFL action. This is the reason I didn't want him to go to Dallas. I said, anybody but this guy. I don't care that they got Micah Parsons, who's going to be really good. I didn't want him getting this guy, Patrick Surtain II, because to me, he was the most technically sound corner and probably the best, most safe pick at the cornerback position I've seen since the Ohio State corner, Lattimore, who was one of my highest graded corners in the last 5 to 7 years. So Marshawn Lattimore is a beast to me. Surtain looks like he's right there. So he made his presence felt in his first NFL game with a pick six. Vikings really didn't play any players. Like, I get it. I mean, Justin Jefferson did what he did last year. You don't want to put him out there. And I think he injured his shoulder in camp. So I don't even know if he's healthy to play anyway, even if he was healthy. Even if you did want to play him, I don't think he's healthy. You don't need to play Adam Thielen. You don't need to play Kirk Cousins. You don't need to play Dalvin Cook. So I totally get what the Vikings were doing on the offensive side. Now on the defensive side, I'm looking at the defense last year. I'm like, y'all were ass-tastic last year. Your defense was terrible, especially for a Mike Zimmer coach defense. You need to have all of their asses out there. All of them. And you just got rid of your first-round pick from last year because he was charged with felony assault, I think. So you got rid of him. You got nothing. You should be playing every single corner and linebacker out there. You know, now, the veteran linebackers, the Kendricks, the Bars, all right, yeah, they don't need to be out there. I'm putting just about everybody else on the damn field. Shit, what's the defensive end's name? Oh, man. Not Yannick Ngakoue. Shit. What's my man's name? Danielle Hunter. His ass ain't playing no football last year. If he's healthy, get your ass out there, Danielle. I need at least a possession out of you. You can't keep everybody in bubble wrap. Not when you stink. If you went to the NFC Championship game last year or you went to the divisional round, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Y'all were awful last year. Everybody should be playing. That's the shit that baffles me. You so worried about people not getting... Y'all were terrible last year. Everybody needs to play. One of my favorite movies. At the end, he says, I'm going after the money. Everybody dies. We didn't win shit last year. Everybody plays. But that's just me. That's why they scored 6 points and got their ass annihilated 33-6. It's a preseason game. Nobody gives a shit, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. New Orleans at Baltimore. This was probably the most boring game of the weekend. Now, it did have another game that rivaled it. We'll talk about that game when we get there. But for my money, there was no sizzle, fizz, or anything here. The only thing I wanted to know, and this was a 17-14 Ravens win, I think that makes it now 17 straight victories for the Ravens. They haven't lost a preseason game since like 2017 or something crazy like that. I mean, for whatever it's worth. They win every year, so it means something. Anyway, I was intrigued by this. All offseason, we assume, I don't want to speak about we, I assumed, okay? You know what they say when you assume things. I assumed that Jameis Winston was going to be the New Orleans Saints starter, and he still may very well be. But he didn't start this game. Taysom Hill did, and I'm like, interesting. Maybe I missed the boat on this. Maybe everybody kind of pumped me up, make me think that Jameis Winston was the guy. And everybody's been sticking a mic in Jameis's face this summer, and he's been saying all the right things. And maybe his ass ain't starting. Maybe Sean Payton's like, hey, y'all talk to everybody else. You ain't talk to me. Because if you would have talked to me, I would have told you Taysom Hill's my guy. Maybe that's the case. Well, I thought Taysom Hill looked good. He did throw a pick, but if you watch the game, the receiver stopped on the route, which technically speaking, the receiver was right, okay? On a shallow cross against zone coverage, you sit down. Taysom Hill threw it as if it was man, and he keeps going. The receiver sat down, which is what he was supposed to do. Taysom Hill threw it out in front of him as if he was going to keep going, and he threw it right to the defender. So technically, Taysom Hill was wrong. That said, I thought he was really good, man. Used his legs. I thought he scrambled to extend plays, made some accurate throws. I was like, shit, Taysom, this ain't bad. This ain't half bad at all. They got all the way down inside the 10-yard line, and then Latavius Murray fumbled on I think it was the first or the second possession, and Taysom Hill was just taking him down the field. He was throwing that peel. Then he threw the pick, and that was it. But Jameis came in, and I was like, that's strange. Jameis didn't start the game. And then they abruptly fumbled after Jameis got in, and Jameis wasn't all that great. There aren't many guys to get excited with that Saints team. I told you there wasn't a lot there, and then you find out that their best receiver, Michael Thomas, isn't going to be available for the first 2 months of the season, and you're like, oi. But I will say Tony Jones Jr. at running back played really well, trying to make that football team. And I thought Marquez Callaway showed up. Somebody's got to show up at receiver. Somebody's got to show up. Okay. Traquan Smith, he's solid, but somebody else has got to show up. Maybe that guy is Marquez Callaway. Look, I told you, if you're going to put on a single-digit number as a receiver, you're going to put on one, your ass better ball out. Well, he was. So hopefully that continues over to the regular season for him, because they're going to need it. For the Ravens, the only guy that really jumped out at me was Patrick Queen. I was like, damn, Patrick Queen is flying all over the field. It was like he was back at LSU in that historic 2019 season where he was just flying around the field. He was everywhere. I think he had a sack. He almost had a pick. He had a pass deflection. Had a tackle for loss. I mean, this guy was everywhere. He was ubiquitous. It was nice. It was fun to watch. Jacksonville hosting the Cleveland Browns. 23-13 Browns victory in this game. I get it. Baker Mayfield played well last year. You think he's the franchise quarterback. You did make it to the playoffs, but you haven't given Baker Mayfield a new contract yet, right? I get it with Chubb and Hunt and, Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. I guess if you're not going to put those guys out there, you don't want to put your quarterback out there. That's fine. Okay, whatever. Case Keenum. I forgot Case Keenum was in Cleveland. That's my note for the Browns. Forgot Case Keenum was out there. He actually wasn't half bad. And Case Keenum is never terrible as your backup. The only problem with Case Keenum is when he's got to get in as your starter. He had that 1 year with the Vikings. But outside of that, if Case Keenum is starting, you have problems. But he was solid as a backup. Threw a couple of dimes during this game. I was like, hey, Case, that ain't bad, man. That ain't bad at all. Trevor Lawrence, let's talk about him. Obviously, that's the reason you watched this game, if you watched any of it, was Trevor Lawrence. Much like I said with Justin Fields and all of the young quarterbacks, this wasn't a Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence specific thing. These young boys took sacks, okay? The game definitely was moving fast for some of these guys, faster than others, for some. But he took about 2 or 3 sacks for sure. And that's just a byproduct of, I didn't like what I saw. I don't want to force it. And I took too long to make a decision to get the hell out of Dodge. And that's why preseason is so important. Because you will learn, hey, this ain't like being at Clemson, where I'm playing against South Carolina and my offensive line is going to give me 8 seconds to throw the football. So I can just sit back here and build a damn house. I actually got to get rid of it because that clock's got to go off a lot faster, because if my first, second read is in there and I don't see my outlet to check it down to, I got to use my legs. And it just took him far too long to make those decisions. So he took some sacks. He made some really good throws. He was decisive on some plays, much like the rest of these quarterbacks. easily could have been picked off once or twice. But at the end of the day, you saw promise. You saw some things you liked. And I can't wait to watch him play next week. You know, that's how I feel about all these rookies. Can't wait to watch him play again. He's going to start week 1. I know that they talked about an open competition between him and Gardner Minshew. Trevor Lawrence is going to start. I just don't see any reason for him not to, unless you really feel like he can't protect himself. He can't get you into the right protections, and he's not giving the rest of the players a chance because he's just so far behind. He needs to start. There's no reason for him to sit on the bench, and I don't think he will. Giants hosting the Jets. Both teams are playing at home, essentially, but the Giants were the home team. The Jets win the game 12-7. This was the snooze fest. This was the other stink fest. Okay, so Baltimore and New Orleans, not a lot of appeal there. And at least this one had a rookie quarterback in it, right? Zach Wilson. But let's start there. Zach Wilson, Ty Johnson, and Denzel Mims. Those were my 3 takeaways. I thought Zach Wilson did some good things. I also thought Zach Wilson was meh. Like, I expected a little bit more. I expected him to play a little bit more. Like, I'm just looking around at these young guys, and I'm like, and maybe the 49ers can do that because Trey Lance isn't supposed to be their starter. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo is technically, so they can play. Trey Lance didn't come out of the game until midway through the 3rd. And I'm looking at these other young boys, and I'm like, take the bubble wrap off. The Bears let Justin Fields play for a while. I like that. But the Jags had Trevor Lawrence out there like this is year 3. Like, okay, get a couple possessions, let me get you out of there. No, he's the number 1 pick in the draft. He needs work. Let him work. Leave him in there. Let him play. Same thing about Zach Wilson. I get it. He's your guy. Yada, yada, yada. And you don't want to put him in there behind a compromised offensive line. So if you don't want to keep your studs out there past 2 possessions, then I get it. Get your quarterback out of there because you don't want to put him in there behind guys that ultimately aren't going to either be on your roster or are strictly backups. I get that. And in some of these instances, that's exactly what it is. I can't put my guy in harm's way. That said, I'd like to see these guys a little bit more. I get it. It's preseason game 1, but there aren't 4 of these anymore. It's just 3. Like, what are you waiting on to get these guys prepared? It just baffles me. Anyway, I thought Zach Wilson was solid. I wasn't blown away, but you see the talent, though. You see the arm talent. You see everything that I fell in love with him as to me, this year's best quarterback. I saw it. I just want to see more of it. Ty Johnson was the best player on the field. You could argue. I thought he was fantastic. I had to go look him up. Like, Johnson. Who is this Johnson with hair coming out of the back of his helmet? And they said, I said, okay, former Maryland running back, was with the Lions initially. Man, he looked fast. He looked good. I was impressed. And then Denzel Mims. If you're a Jets fan out there, and I'm pretty sure there are no Jets fans out there because there never are, but I'm going to ask the question anyway because if you're a Jets fan, you may know the answer. Should I be worried about Denzel Mims? Because I'm watching this game, and Denzel Mims is in the game in the 3rd quarter long after anybody of substance is in the game. And I'm thinking, okay, I saw Corey Davis in the 1st quarter. I didn't see any more of him. I saw Jamison Crowder early. I didn't see any more of him. I don't even know if I saw Elijah more. I saw all the dudes that I should be concerned with in the 1st quarter. They came out when Zach Wilson came out. Why am I seeing Denzel Mims in the 3rd quarter? Should I be worried about Denzel Mims? I know it's a new staff, but you know the same GM drafted him, right? So should I be worried about him, or is this much to do about nothing? I'm just asking. Anyway, for the Giants, I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with the Giants. So I'm going to ask this seriously. I'm not trying to be funny. Is something wrong with Daniel Jones? I need to know. You know, did he tweak something in practice? Or we being a little careful? Sore shoulder, something? I know he got caught at the bottom of that scrum. You know, a couple of weeks ago when Joe Judge had to go postal on the entire team and the coaching staff and everybody that was anywhere within 2 states of him. But if he's not hurt, is there a reason why he wasn't playing in the game? Because last time I checked, this is a make or break season for him. I just need to know. Last time I checked, Daniel Jones was ass. So we resting dudes that are ass now? That's what we doing? Again, I could be way off base and he could have had something that they just wanted to make sure that they didn't put him in harm's way with. I get it. I get it. If he's banged up, if you're not sure, that's why preseason is preseason. If I'm not sure, sit down. But I saw him practicing the other day when he threw that ridiculous pass everybody was going crazy about on socials. I'm not saying, if he's healthy, why is he not playing? I need answers. He should be getting every rep he can get against live defenses. I saw nobody of substance for the Giants. Are you trying to hide something? Hide what? What are we doing here? That was definitely not a Bill Belichick move from Joe Judge. Because Belichick is playing his boys. He's playing everybody. Brian Flores is playing everybody. Nobody's sitting down. I just had questions. Maybe you got the answers. But if Daniel Jones is 100% perfectly fine, why in the hell is he not on the damn field? This is the shit I'm talking about. Resting dudes that don't need rest. Again, I could be way off base with this. But Daniel Jones is not an all-pro. He's not even close to a Pro Bowl player. He's in a make-or-break season. Drew Lock played. And I'm not saying everybody's supposed to operate the same way. But Drew Lock is in the same position that Daniel Jones is in. From the same draft class. Hey, you got to get your shit together this year or I got to move on. I can't keep waiting. So he needs to play. I don't understand. I just don't get it. Anyway, I got a couple super chats. I don't want them to go away. So let me knock them out real quick. Thank you for the super chat, White Run Guard. Thank you for the super chat, White Run Guard. Greatly appreciate you who writes. Watched you for years. Here's my very first donation. I really do appreciate that, man. It's nothing like a first-time super chatter chiming in that's been someone that has been a lurker, because I'm a lurker, so I can relate. I lurk. I watch a video. You'll never hear from me. I won't say anything. I'm one of them type of people. I'll lurk, and then if I feel the need to speak up, then I will. So it's always good to hear from fellow lurkers. So thank you for the donation. Really do appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. White Run Guard. Got another one here from Vegan Hippie. Thank you for the super chat, Vegan Hippie. Greatly appreciate you who writes. Lou, who was your top quarterback in the 2021 draft? Wilson was my QB1. Same here. Same exact thing. Wilson was 1 for me. Lawrence was 2. Trey Lance was 3. Excuse me. Justin Fields was 4. And then Mac Jones was my 5th quarterback. So that's how my top 5 looked in this draft. All right. Cincinnati at Tampa Bay. 19-14 Bengals get the win. Honestly, no Joe Burrow meant that there really wasn't much for me to look at Cincinnati for. But I will say this. The Bengals had on their brand new jerseys. Loved them. Loved them. And they didn't do too much. If you just glanced at them, you wouldn't have even recognized that they had on brand new jerseys. Just subtle little changes. Just made them look cleaner, sharper, more appeasing to the eyes. I loved them. Loved them. Can't wait to see the other variations. As for Tampa Bay, I got a couple of things with them. First of all, this is the shit that drives me nuts. So all of these young boys around the league sitting down. Tom Brady is 44 mother effing years old and he's out there in the first preseason game. Now, Bruce Arians, Uncle Bruce already said, hey, he ain't playing. None of these boys are playing in preseason game number 2. Okay, fine. He's 44 years old. Okay, if he played in no preseason games, I would have been fine with it. If anything, I'm like, get that man a walker. Matter of fact, get that man a wheelchair. He shouldn't even be walking on the sidelines. He's 44. But he was out there, though. But I can't get Daniel Jones out there? I can't get Justin Herbert on the field? Really? That's how y'all feel? Okay. I got something to say about that, though. So, the Bucs tried some trickery. This was my favorite part of the game. The Bucs tried some trickery. Oh, my God. These tricky Bucs, okay? They tried to pull an old fast one over on the old officials, right? So these boys scored a touchdown on like their second possession of the game, did the Bucs, relatively early. And they ran their special teams unit on the field. And they kicked the extra point from the old extra point, from the 2-yard line. And the officials didn't stop the game or nothing. Let them kick the extra point and went through the uprights. The officials put the "it's good" sign up. We're going to kick off. And then the officials got buzzed down from New York. And they said, hey, what the hell y'all doing, man? None of y'all asses realized they kicked the shit from the 2-yard line? Really? Dunce Cap, Junior? None of y'all? They was like, oh, shit, they got us. They got us. It's preseason for everybody, man. So they had to take the extra point off the scoreboard. So it only ended up being 6 instead of 7. I said, hey, Bruce. That's why you Uncle Bruce, man. You almost pulled a fast one over on the officials. If it weren't for New York, they would have got him. I love it. I love the preseason chicanery. I love it. One more of it. Good try. But you know, the eye in the sky don't lie. They watching, man. You ain't going to get away with this shit, man. Good try, though. It would have worked. Because none of those Neanderthals knew what the hell you just did. Anyway, I digress. Houston at Green Bay. This was all about Jordan Love for me. Because I think the Texans are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. But I say that, and then I watched the game, and you know, I've got at least 20 Washington fans that are like, Tyrod Taylor, we should have signed Tyrod Taylor. They were talking that shit last year. They were talking about it get Tyrod Taylor. And I'm like, for what? He's going to play 2 games and get hurt and not play another game the rest of the season. For what? But I can tell you this. For this possession, he was in on the opening possession of the game was Tyrod. And he was in fuego. Man was on flames. Okay? That shit was impressive. I'm not going to lie to you. Who was the running back? My man from Denver, Phillip Lindsay. He was in the game. Tyrod was throwing darts left and right. Shit was impressive, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Shit was impressive. Tyrod was on his shit. And they went right down the field and they scored points. I don't know if they got in the end zone or not, though. I think they might have had to settle for a field goal. But it was impressive. I know that. Anyway, let's talk about Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. So I thought that his first possession was scatterbrained, like a lot of these young players. I don't think any of these young players had a successful first possession. I think most of these young guys, they came out and they struggled on that first possession. And then it was like the second or third possession where things started to click for him. Same thing here with Jordan Love. I thought his second possession was awesome. I mean, it was so delicious. So I forgot that Devin Funchess was on the Green Bay Packers. And he opted out last year. He's going to be huge for them. That's a big get for them. He made a couple of spectacular grabs, and I'm like, oh shit, Funchess. Honey Funchess of Oats. I see you, boy. Then they got a rookie running back, Kalen Hill, out of Texas A&M. He looks good. You know, they lost one of their running backs in free agency to the Lions, so they needed to replace him. They still already got 2 backs, but you can never have too many running backs. I think he's going to fit in really nicely in Green Bay. Kalen Hill was outstanding. He ran for a touchdown. Might have even been a little throw out into the flats from Love, but either way, Jordan Love was solid, man. Solid. I know he got injured in the game. They said it's nothing serious. He shouldn't miss any time. That's good news. Really, really impressed with Funchess, with Kalen Hill, who had his first Lambeau leap, and I thought Jordan Love did some really nice things. So looking forward to watching him again and throughout this entire preseason, as there will be no Aaron Rodgers, and rightfully so. Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. The City Chiefs. 19-16, the Chiefs get the victory. My most important takeaway for the Chiefs is that they played their starters in a week where everyone felt like it was okay to play nobody. I'm not playing my starting quarterback. No way. Don't want to get him hurt. Not going to play my guys. The Chiefs put everybody, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, they were Clyde Edwards-Helaire. None of those guys had to play. But why not play them? Just one possession? I'm not telling you to put these dudes out there for a whole quarter. But you should be trying to get these guys up to game speed. Get them out there for a possession. Let them get their feet wet a little bit. They've been playing against their teammates all offseason. That shit is not the same as playing against a team that actually can hit the quarterback. Put them out there. Let them run around a little bit. Look, you can get hurt at any time in football. This is the shit that boggles my mind. I get it. All right, there's certain instances where you don't want guys out there. You're getting drubbed 42-3. I don't need to have those guys out there. I'm winning 42-3. I don't need to have those guys out there. I get that. There's certain instances where it just doesn't make any sense. Preseason game 1, fine. You don't want to put them out there. I get it. But it's not going to kill you to put them out there for a possession or two. This is the shit that kills me. You could not play your guys all preseason long. They could get out there first possession of the game and get hurt. Then what the hell are you going to say? Well, at least it didn't happen in the preseason. At least I got them to the starting blocks. I'm going to get there, though. I'm going to get there. I'm slowly inching my way there. Don't worry. I got a whole can of whoop ass to open. But this game was about Trey Lance. Who are we kidding, right? This game was about Trey Lance. Or as the announcer said, Trey area. Please tell me that wasn't the only highlight you watched from that game. Because if it was, then you will walk away, oh my God, Trey Lance is about to be a beast. And I think he's going to be, honestly. I think he's got the immense potential. And with Kyle Shanahan and that offense, you know what it is. You know what it is. I thought that after that 80-yard bomb that he threw, it was beautifully executed. And what did I tell you? I said he fits Shanahan's offense to a T because it's what he did at North Dakota State. After that bomb, and he did some really good things in the game too. You saw him use his legs a couple of times. You saw him in the boot game. You saw him throw the ball accurately. I thought he had about 2 or 3 drops that would have extended drives that were right there. But he also got sacked like 4 times. Straight up. I'm not bullshitting. Like 4 sacks. He should have been picked off at least 3 times. I'm not bullshitting you. That's not an exaggeration. He could have been picked off every bit of 3 times. So while there was a lot of good, there was a lot of bad. And that's what you get from young players, which is why they need to play. The only way they're going to learn from mistakes is if they get to make them. So I just love the fact that he played as long as he did, that he showed the flashes of why they felt like he was the best option at number 3. And I think that he is exactly what they need. And it's only a matter of time before he starts in San Francisco. I feel really confident in saying that. Seattle at Vegas. 20-7. The Vegas Raiders get the win. So let me start with Seattle. This is exactly what I put in my notes, verbatim, word for word. Hey, Geno Smith stinks. Russell Wilson better not. Never, ever get hurt. If they got to put Geno Smith in the game, Geno. Oh, Geno. Oh, no. Man, does he stink. I can smell it all the way here in Virginia. And they all the way on the opposite end of the country. Stinks. But I digress. Let's talk about Nathan Peterman. Because I think about 95% of NFL fans had dug this man, not a 6-foot grave, but a 12-inch grave. And was ready to bury him after like the 6-7 piece interception game he had against the Chargers that one year when he was a Bill. I think he threw like 4 or 5 interceptions in like the first half, or maybe it was the first quarter. It was some asinine number, right? Everybody wanted to shit on Nathan Peterman then. And everyone laughed and joked, and I was included. I joked when the Raiders went out and John Gruden was gushing over Nathan Peterman, and he went out and he signed him, and then he signed him again this offseason, and I was like, he really loves him some Nathan Peterman. Or as he likes to say, Nathan Peterman. I looked at the Raiders quarterback situation. I said, okay, Derek Carr, he don't need to play. He good. I said, Marcus Mariota, he could use some reps. You know, I mean, he's a veteran, but he could use some reps. Why not? John Gruden's like, nah, I'm about to put Nathan Peterman on display for y'all ass. When's the last time you seen a preseason QB throw it damn near 40 times? Nathan Peterman went 29 to 39 for 270 and some change. I said, John, are you out of your damn mind? He's like, nah, I got to let y'all know Nathan Peterman is not ass. Okay? Y'all gonna stop talking about my boy Nathan Peterman. I'm like, there's so many different ways you can show us that, John. This ain't the way to do it, bruh. Seriously. It's a preseason. He's like, well, you just said we need to play dudes. I did say that. I didn't say you needed to play them for all 4 quarters. Anyway, I thought early on it was the Nathan Peterman, Zay Jones show. It was a very entertaining show. I had my cherries and I was just popping them, and I'm like, look at Zay. I said, look at Zay Jones go. And this is not funny. I shouldn't bring it up. But he looked like he was out there jumping for Jesus. He was playing some football. And those who know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, I digress. Zay Jones looked good. He's wearing his number from college, number 7, and maybe that makes all the difference in the world. Because I like Zay Jones. I want him to win. Chargers at Rams. This was the worst game of the weekend. So I talked about Ravens. I talked about the Giants game. Nobody had anything on this game. This was the worst watch of the weekend, and I don't know if it was close. Let me start with the Rams, because I'm going to open up a whole can of whoop ass on the Chargers. So let me start with the Rams. Tutu Atwell, Jacob Harris. Both of them look fantastic. Tutu Atwell, 2nd round pick for the Rams out of Louisville. He's a guy that a lot of people loved in this draft, and he's going to fit in so well for the Rams. One of the things they lack is pure playmaking speed on the offensive side of the football. He gives them that. Along with Deshaun Jackson. They knew they needed speed. They went out and got it this offseason. We'll see how that works out for him. But he looked good. He looked the part in his first preseason action. And Jacob Harris was a guy that a lot of people loved coming out of UCF. Big, tall kid, 6'5", 6'6". Ran a sub 4.54. I think he ran like a 4.4, 3 or 4.41, some crazy time. Might have even been a sub 4.4. He ran some ridiculous time, and it forced people to go put the tape on. And he played tight end for UCF, but he also played receiver. So he was like, all right, which one is he? Then you look at him weighing about 211, 215, and you're like, okay, he's a receiver. I think the Rams are trying to make him into a tight end. I don't know. Receiver, tight end, whatever the case may be, man, he looks good. Okay, whatever they decide to do with him, he looks the part. I want to see more of him. I think he's going to make their football team. So let's get to the Chargers, man, because their new head coach, Brandon Staley. I don't know if this is a Rams thing. I don't know if this is a Sean McVay thing. I think McVay might be doing the same thing, but he's got Matthew Stafford. So, okay. You know, he's got Deshaun Jackson. He's got a bunch of guys that are veterans that have done it in this league that you trust when the games start, you know what they're going to do. I said, I know you just got there, Brandon Staley. And I'm going to call him Brandon Staley, his first and last name, because he pissed me off. So he's Brandon Staley from now on. I know you just got there, Brandon Staley. But the Chargers were, and you had nothing to do with this last year, but the Chargers were a 4, maybe 5-win team last year. I don't know. They were in some ball games, and if you talk to Chargers fans, we could have beat Tampa Bay, we should have beaten New Orleans, and da-da-da-da-da, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Save it. Okay. Here's what I do know. You got a second-year quarterback. You got a brand spanking new offensive line, essentially. Love to see them getting some reps. You got some parts in there that you could probably convince yourself, hey, I don't really need to see that dude. Like Keenan Allen, I'm good. Don't need to see him. I could throw Mike out there. But if you say, Mike don't need to be out there either, fine. You got plenty of dudes. Jalen Guyton, you got the young rookie receiver, Josh Palmer, all of that good. You got enough dudes. You could throw some people out there. But for you to just come out before the preseason starts and say, hey, we ain't playing none of these dudes. We ain't playing Justin Herbert. We ain't playing none of the defensive stars. Hell, what's the dude from Florida State that ain't played in like 6 years? They get hurt every year? Derwin James? Hey, we ain't playing him neither. We ain't playing none of those dudes. We'll play everybody else, though. Really? You know what I'm over here doing, right? I'm over here Birdman hand rubbing these bitches. I'm like, yeah, serve they ass up on a platter week 1. I hope they come out rusty as shit. Haven't played against anybody but their own. They come out week 1, lackadaisical and lethargic, and we stomp a mud hole in their ass. I'm glad we getting them week 1. Now, this shit could backfire. They could come out rested and fresh and just destroy us. It could go one of two ways. But I think history has shown that it usually works in the opposite direction. You don't want to play guys, you're all scared and finicky. You want to rest every damn body you can? You're setting up for an ass whooping in week 1. I hope we get to be the team to do it. Justin Herbert was really good last year. He really was. Good enough to not play in the first game of the preseason? Good enough not to play in the second game? Good enough not to play in the third game of the preseason? He's that damn good? You won the Super Bowl last year or some shit? I don't know, man. I don't know about some of these coaches, man. I'm telling you, the Chargers, I got my eye on them. We got them week 1, so I don't have to go out of my way to find out what they did week 1. If he has a lackluster performance and the defense is so-so and we run their ass, which is probably not going to happen. But if that does happen, oh, you know what I'm coming back to. You know what I'm circling back to. You know what I'm circling back to. No preseason for none of these boys. He's already ruled them out for all 3 games. God forbid one of them get hurt week 1 now. Because I'm really going to tear him a new asshole. Him being Brandon Staley. They better not only better win, they better stay healthy week 1. Because if anybody gets a hammy or some kind of soft tissue injury and they didn't play in the preseason, oh, I'm coming after him with aggression. Because now you're being too soft. You're being too fine now. Oh, none of these guys are playing. It's football. Shit's going to happen. It's going to happen. Whether it's preseason game 1, preseason game 3, regular season game 1, or 13. If a dude's going to get hurt, he's going to get hurt. Anyway, I digress. I did want to say this. Chase Daniel and Josh Palmer were really good for the Chargers. I don't need to see Chase Daniel. I've seen him like 11 years collect checks for not much work. I know what Chase Daniel is as a veteran in this league. You think you need to see more Chase Daniel or you need to see more Justin Herbert? Anyway, just a thought. I digress. Let's go to the final game of the weekend. Panthers at Colts. 21-18. Colts get the victory. P.J. Walker was super impressive. Super impressive. Started for the Panthers. Let me stop right there. There's something wrong with Sam Darnold. Anybody? It's something wrong with Sam Darnold. Anything? I haven't been following the Panthers. I'm being serious here. I haven't been following the Panthers close enough to know. Did he tweak something? Is something off? Are they being precautious with him? I don't know. If not, why in the hell is Sam Darnold not playing in the preseason game number 1? I need help with this. I just don't get this. No Daniel Jones. No Sam Darnold. No Baker Mayfield. No Justin Herbert. Like, I'm looking at these dudes and I'm like, every single one of these dudes are still on rookie deals. You're not quite sure. If you were, they would have already had a new deal by now. And they just decided, nah, I'm going to play. We're good. He's good. Or are you trying to hide super secret plays? You don't want to put it on tape. I don't know. I know P.J. Walker in his absence was really impressive. Using his legs, super accurate with the football. I was impressed. That wasn't the same P.J. Walker I saw last year at the end of the season, throwing 3 picks in a win versus Detroit, where I'm like, you won the game, but P.J. Walker was pretty awful in the game. You won despite him, not because of him. He looked damn good. For the Colts, I really want to say Jacob Eason was outstanding. I was so impressed. He might have been the single most impressive player I watched all weekend, especially of a young quarterback. I wonder if they look at Jacob Eason and they think to themselves, did we really have to trade for Carson Wentz? Now, again, it's one preseason game. I don't want to take it out of context. And obviously, they watched Jacob Eason all last year. So they decided after seeing him all last year that we need to trade for Carson Wentz. So pretty sure they felt that way. But, man, I thought he was razor sharp. Super accurate. We already knew he had one of the strongest arms in his respective draft class, but he's got one of the strongest arms in the league. He's right up there with Mahomes and Allen and all those guys that can just straight up sling it. Jacob Eason is right there with him. I thought that he was extremely decisive, accurate. I thought that he allowed guys to catch the football and be able to run after the catch. And also, he threw a beautiful deep ball to a guy that really needs to stay healthy. What's the receiver from Ohio State? It gets hurt every damn year for the Colts. I can't think of his name, but he switched his jersey number to 1. Maybe that makes all the difference in the world. But it was a beautiful throw. He caught it. And I'm thinking to myself, Jacob Eason, man, he was at Georgia at one point, and he looked like the next coming of Matthew Stafford at Georgia. You remember that first year? He had all those comebacks, and everybody was all excited. And then the next year starts off a little slow. He gets injured like the first or second game. In comes, what's the old soft tosser that's with Buffalo? Oh, shit. Number 11. I can see his damn face. But in comes soft tosser, and he never gets his job back. So he transfers to Washington, maybe leaves a year earlier than he should have, and he falls to the 4th round. I like Jacob Eason, man. I like Paris Campbell. Thank you. Paris Campbell. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Rich. There's something to this Jacob Eason kid. I want to see more of him, and I will. Preseason, he'll play a lot more. Consistency is the key, obviously, but if he can continue to play like this, there's no reason to rush Carson Wentz. And we've already heard the Colts say we're not going to rush him. So we'll see what happens. But, man, was he impressive. So that was Slate Skatin, preseason week number 1 style. Really appreciate y'all putting on your skates and going around the block a couple of times with me, man. That was a lot of fun. Let's wrap this show up the only way we know how. Garbage time. So, NFL new taunting rule. I finished with the Indianapolis-Carolina game, which is a perfect segue into this last segment. New taunting rule in the NFL. One of the biggest takeaways from that Indianapolis Colts Carolina Panthers game was the bogus taunting penalty on the running back that carried about 6 Panther defenders and 3 of his own guys. Hell of a run. Probably like a good 17-yard run. In the last 7 or 8 yards of that run, he's dragging like 6-7 dudes. He gets up, and it's a very, very passive-aggressive flex. I'm strong. Mama, I'm strong. But it wasn't overly demonstrative. He didn't get up, make contact. You know how some dudes, a dude got his head down, he trying to get up, and a guy go bump him with his stomach, and he like, It wasn't one of those. He didn't touch him. He didn't spike the ball in his direction. None of that. Just a little, I'm strong, mama. I'm strong. Official comes from the back judge from all the way 20 yards away, decides he wants to come up and he wants to make a scene. Throw the flag. We all saw the video, and I made a slight mention of this like last week when it first was reported that this was a thing. The new taunting rule. It's a thing. And I said, it's trash, but we'll see how it goes. Like everything in the NFL, that first year, it's usually hell. Especially the preseason. They're going to make an example. They want to curtail it, so they're going to call everything. So that when you get to the regular season, they hope that you don't do it. You've been flagged enough in the preseason that your coaching staff has talked to the players, and they're not going to do it. Well, this is one of those types of penalties that you call to try to deter other guys from doing anything. I can't see this thing working out the way that they intended to. I can tell you, I saw at least 5 or 6 instances where they could have thrown the flag and they didn't. To me, the classic taunting is one that's not even taunting, but if you put it under the umbrella of what they showed in the video, this is what they're talking about. Guy gets up, catches a 12-yard pass on 3rd and 7, and he wants to drop the football in front of the defender sitting right there on the ground. He wants to get up. I got the first down. He wants to drop the ball. Boop. Defender's right there. Nothing more pisses a defender off than the guy that just caught the ball getting up and dropping the ball right on top of him or right next to him to let him know, I just got you for a first down. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen slap the ball out of the receiver's hand when he's doing that, or, does something like, get your arm out my face. That's more likely to start some shit than a dude getting up and giving you a half-hearted, mama, I'm strong. Yeah, you don't want the dude getting up, flexing in somebody's face. We see that all the time. Yeah, I get that. I understand why you want to flag somebody for that, and probably should be flagged for that. But come on, man. That didn't deserve a flag. And, if a guy gets up after a 12-yard gain and he wants to, Antonio Brown drop the ball, that shouldn't be a flag. And I didn't see that called this weekend. And I watched every game. I didn't see a bunch of frivolous taunting penalties called. So, again, it's subjective. I guarantee you at the NFL league office, they're applauding that official who threw the flag. And they're berating about 4 or 5 others who let some shit go that they want called, especially in the preseason. They want to make an example out of players in the preseason. Remember when they instated that new rule about leading with the crown of your helmet? How many times you seen that shit called? Remember that preseason? They were calling everything. We were like, what in the hell is going on out there? They're making a mockery of the game. How many times you seen that shit called in a real game? Never. Okay, maybe once or twice. Never. That rule's been in for like 3-4 years now. Never. Like, that's what they do though. They try to use scare tactics in the preseason. I guarantee you next week, I think that the NFL league office got a hold of these officials and said, look, I want you calling all of these shit. Somebody get up, hold the ball up on a first down and drop it, flag their ass. We're trying to deter all of that shit. Y'all were too lenient this week. I saw one in our game. I'm watching Steven Sims Jr. He catches it's a nice deep dig for about 17. He's excited and he gets up, drops the ball right next to the defender. I said, oh, that's 15. And then they called a timeout, and I said, you're giving them more time to think about throwing that 15-yard penalty because it was right before half. And they didn't call shit. And I said, that's strange. Okay, cool. And I saw it like 3 or 4 more times throughout the weekend, and it didn't get called. So, yeah, that was one agree. And remember, that was the only game on Sunday. So all eyes were on that game. So when it got called, everybody was watching it at the same time. And so social media went ablaze with it, got set ablaze with that. Everybody got on their high horse and on their soapbox and talked about how the game is getting soft and you can't stop a guy from, this is an aggressive game and guys have emotion, this, that, and the third. I don't really think this is going to be a problem. But I do think next week you're going to see a lot more than you did in week 1. But I think when the regular season gets here, I don't think this is going to be a real issue. The only time I think they're going to throw the flag is when they would have thrown it in the past. When somebody does something egregious, you know it when you see it when, okay, you were out of line for that. You were out of pocket. Come on, man. That was dumb. A dude gets up, spins the ball. A defender happens to be on the ground, but he spins the ball, and he's not spinning it at him. He just happens to spin it. Don't throw a flag for that. The intent behind that wasn't to spin it in that guy's face. Use your better judgment. And I think they will. I think these officials, a lot of times we don't give the officials credit. It's a tough-ass job that they do. Most of us wouldn't last 2 seconds out there on the football field. They got so many different things they have to look at. And we berate them when they get some shit wrong. It's tough. They do a hell of a job. I think they're going to use their better judgment with this taunting rule. And I don't think we're going to see it as often. You're going to get some of these officials that are soft. They're going to call everything because they want to be officiating in the playoffs. So they want to grade high in the regular season so they get those extra checks in the playoffs. So they're going to call every damn thing. Try to stay away from those dudes. But for the most part, I think they're gonna use better judgment. So I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the 190th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I thank you guys for joining me on this Tuesday. This is an odd day for the podcast. Normally it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Got hemmed up yesterday, wasn't able to get on, and I had to do a makeup pod, and I'm glad you guys were able to still kick it with the kid on this makeup pod. So I'm going to ask you to do me a huge solid. Please hit the subscribe button for more great content here on the Louie T Network. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing, and hit the like button, okay? Really do appreciate all of you out there. If you haven't hit the like button, Let's try to get that thing up. We've been well over 100 for most of this pod. Only 60 likes. Let's get it up to 70 before we get out of here. I really do appreciate you guys, and I'm going to thank you in advance for that. With that said, I'm going to glide to the side and get out of here, allow you to get back to your regularly scheduled programming. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, which next time is tomorrow, I'm your man, Louie T, saying adios, a mañana. See you guys then. Take care. God bless. And good afternoon.
Louie.